Well, welcome everybody back to the Four Stars Financial Advisor Workshop presentation, podcast, and video. We have a very interesting guest today, another one of our industry's finest. Her name is Kathy Longo, and Kathy is in Minneapolis with a little bit going on in California, as I heard recently. So welcome to the Four Star Financial Advisors Workshop, Kathy.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so I met you through our team who found you, and we found you in Minneapolis, but it turns out you're originally from right around Four Stars headquarters in Chicagoland, right?
Yeah. I grew up in Libertyville, so I was up there until I was like 25, and
Nice.
I'm older than that, but we don't need to say how much older. But I was there for a while.
You're 29, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Kathy, many of the financial advisors that we meet come through, are often independent. They come through a channel like an Ameriprise or a Merrill Lynch or Morgan Stanley. But you came through a completely different outlet. You came through a planning firm. So tell us about that and how you got started.
Well, I had the good fortune to discover financial planning as a profession in college, where I went to Purdue University and they had a financial planning major. I started off as an economics major and ran into a student that used to be in my classes. I'm like, why are you not in my economics classes? And she said, I changed my major to financial planning. And I said, what is that? So I've learned a lot since then, but I took a personal finance class at Purdue and I thought, oh my gosh, I cannot believe you can do this for a living. So I changed my major immediately. I loved the numbers, but I loved the people piece. And I think I'm like a detective at heart. I loved like discovering like what was going on in their finances and finding ways to help them. So back then, I think there were about a dozen schools that had the major. So I, from there, just connected with financial planners and worked for a firm in the Chicago area. Carol Pankros is her name. And so I had like direct experience with the owner. I was her first employee and just really got that hands-on experience, and then worked into other firms like Deloitte and Touche and KPMG, where they had financial planning divisions. And that gave me a lot of corporate experience and working with corporate executives. And then I moved into a family office, which was founded for the Bell family, who founded General Mills, the company, but they had expanded it to other high net worth families. So that gave me great experience on family giving and generational planning, as they bring in usually multiple generations into those family offices. And then that from the partners were like in disagreements and went their own way. And so I joined another firm where I became a partner, a 10% partner, like a registered investment advisory firm called Accredited Investors, and was there about 13 years, learned a lot. But in the end, I just had this, I'm giving away some dates now, so we're going to be able to figure this out pretty quickly. And that I had this entrepreneurial spirit in me and wanted to start my own firm. So 8 years ago, as of this coming April, I started Flourish Wealth Management.
So where did you get the name Flourish?
Oh, well, when I was starting it, I got good advice. I've been involved with a group of women business owners, and at first I talked to this big firm, and they were going to charge me like, I don't remember, $40,000 to come up with a name. And I remember one of the other business owners said, "You got to get more scrappy than that. You cannot afford anything like that." So I really just bounced off with a friend, kind of what the feeling I was wanting to create for clients, and we came up with the feeling of this flourish. We wanted our clients to flourish, and lo and behold, the name was available, like Flourish Wealth Management. Back then, we actually trademarked Flourish. We trademarked Flourish in the financial space, and so there's a couple little violators out there, but I'm aware of them. I don't have to like do the cease and desist on the name quite yet because they're very small. But yeah, I love the name and what it felt like to flourish in life, and it was like perfect.
So it says, and the words officially say, Flourish embodies the fruition of that dream and builds off a vast foundation of insight and experience.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yay.
Well, good. Well, that's exciting. And you're right. It's a very unique name, and so people probably won't be jumping all over you, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Great. So we talked earlier, and I think I get the sense, and you kind of alluded to this, that your job is really not just to be like a market person. You're really to help their entire life, isn't it?
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about like the holistic view of how you run.
Yeah, and that was really important to me as thought through the process. I feel that the technical side, like understanding the investment strategy and the tax strategy and like what's happening on their estate front or making sure they have the right insurance protection, super important. But what I saw get in the way is like the emotional piece or how they would talk about money or their avoidance of money. And so I really wanted to uncover more about each individual's personal money story and how each person in the couple like have their own stories and how they come together. So we use a lot of tools from a group called Money Quotient, and they have things like your personal money story, how you've dealt with transitions in the past, a wheel of life, which is really looking at your life from all areas, from like your health, your purpose, family, community. There's like 10 different areas, and people rank their satisfaction on those areas. And we use that wheel to understand what else they might want to create for themselves and then go into a whole goal setting process. And so that piece, then complemented with the technical, really cements our relationship and allows us to do, even better planning as we dig into like their personal story.
It sounds like you're so personal and you get so deep with clients. I bet you don't lose many investors. You know,
We really don't. I'm thinking of just a client who unfortunately passed away, but yeah, we do keep clients, which is really nice.
very nice. Now, you met your husband in this investment world as well.
hmm I did. Yeah, we were both at an investment class, and yeah, well, as you know, like the industry is much more male dominated, and so I think like when he went back to his work and said, "Oh, I met a woman," they're like, "Really? Like at this investment class?" But yeah, we. Oh, he now works at Flourish too. So he's part of the firm and he leads our investments. And so it's been good building this together. He didn't start in the beginning with Flourish, but having him involved has been great. And then I claim to fame, I have a daughter who majored in financial planning. She was also in a program at Wisconsin-Madison and majored in business corporate finance with a wealth management minor. And she works for another firm, but who knows, someday maybe she'll come over to Flourish. So we'll have to kind of work on like the family aspect of business. But it's exciting because when she was in high school, she said, "Your job is so boring, I would never do it." And I'm like, "It's not." But she was 16, so she didn't really listen to me. But turns out she took an aptitude test, said she'd be a great financial planner, and she took a class in psychology. And she's
Okay.
like, "I love this psychology," which a lot of it does relate to what we do in planning. It has a lot of psychology to it.
It sure does. Well, that's interesting. She's the heir apparent, so maybe she'll join you later.
Yeah, yeah. Later, let her mature.
So with Money Quotient, you get really good relationship development skills with your clients, and then you're talking a little bit about your firm now.
Mhm,
Your firm manages about 225 million in assets now,
mhm. Yeah.
and for growth strategy, team development. Let's talk a little bit about what you're thinking there.
Yeah, for team development, I feel like like in our core values, we have things like bring excellence and heart in everything we do, make a difference, grow and share our experience and insights, and then take initiative and be resourceful and appreciate and celebrate. So those are our like core values. So what we've done is try to wrap up all of the way we treat taking those core values and how we work with each other, how we develop our team, how we work with our clients, and how we're involved with the community too. So thinking about like how do we develop along those pathways. So we've done things like we have an industrial psychologist that we do work with, and she comes in and does set training on communication skills like critical feedback, and she's also helped us develop we've created career paths for the different roles, from like an associate wealth manager, senior wealth manager to relationship manager. And we have a whole dedicated learning resource tools and oh whether it's readings, programs, to like eventually as you're further in your wealth management career, your own coach, but how we will specifically develop them for business development, relationship management skills, how do they manage others in the firm. So I feel like we really try to, for, being like a small, I mean, we're not the smallest firm, but, being like early on, I really wanted to devote resources into developing our team and how we focus on our own growth and learning.
Very interesting. Well, good. And then you talked a little bit about the personal money side, and you mentioned something called the Wheel of Life, and
Mhm.
I thought that was really interesting. Could you share a little bit of information about that with us?
Yeah, so it and this is what's nice about the tools with Money Quotient is they're all online, and so you can send the clients a link to it, and they submit it and fill it out online, and the results come back to you. So super easy to work with, no downloading or anything like that. And so basically, it's just you think about like all of those areas that I mentioned, like the purpose, the home, the work, the community, family, health. So they rank how satisfied they are in each of those areas. And what the program does, it kind of connects the dots. So you'll see, maybe somebody's is very much a wheel, kind of maybe thinking like it's, it's all rolling, life's looking pretty good, evenly distributed. But like, as I think about one we looked at earlier this week, it had like, it wasn't going to roll. It was going to clunk at the work piece. And it was just somebody who was not feeling like they were like at their full capacity for work. And so we understood that. And it also was kind of impacting how they viewed their finances. And so like we get into like what's going on like at a deeper level, or maybe like health you might see as kind of a low ranking. And we talk about like what would it take to improve that? And maybe it's like a trainer, a nutritionist, but maybe some financial resources that we need to dedicate to that area that we
Great.
discover, and we can help them see that possibility. So that's how we use that Wheel of Life to understand like and everything's connected. I mean, like our life is holistic, and understanding which pieces might be impacting others.
Nice, nice. So, well, and very interesting. And you told me earlier that part of your firm's growth strategy is that you're doing, I think it's your first acquisition.
It
Your first.
is, yeah.
Tell us about that.
Um, so we, so there's another individual in town that she did not have a succession plan for her business, and she was at that point where she was ready to retire, but not like right on day one. So we spent a lot of time with each other, understanding each other's business and seeing the similarities in how we work with clients and really care for our clients and look at things from a more holistic level. She's done some of the similar training that I've done, like in transition work with Susan Bradley. And so we just really delved deep into each other's practice to see if there would be a good fit. And so what we structured was that we would take a quarter of her clients on each year over 4 years. And so we do the purchase. And so we're just getting ready to do our third purchase coming up. And so I've found a bank that was willing to, create that structure, knowing that there's more tranches to come. And it's gone really well. And I think that some of it is just our process. It's not like, here's your clients, it's like, here's everything you need to know, debrief meetings. They transfer all their files from ShareFile that they use, and we use ShareFile. And so really make it as smooth as possible for the client. And it's been a really good experience and has created some nice growth for us.
Nice. And getting to know the clients in the way that you do, then those clients will become very sticky, and
Yeah.
you'll be very close to them as well.
Yeah, and like in this, it makes sense. Like, but I hadn't really thought about this in the acquisition. Like one of the things like the banks look for is like how long has she worked with these clients? Because that does show stickiness, and clients usually stay. As long as the service is good. So yeah, I think that it is a nice longevity piece. That we can have these clients as part of our firm.
So Kathy, you started in financial planning, and that seems to be the hallmark of your business that leads to a tighter relationship. Have you ever done any client work where you didn't do financial planning for them? It's all been financial planning based.
Um, n- No, let's see. Not really. Most of clients come to us because when they look at our website and they see what we write about, um, they like that financial planning piece. We have some clients where we don't manage their investments, which is different. Like usually you're always, and we've structured it as a good retainer basis that allows us to work with them and do like all their planning, but we don't manage their investments. So I think that's kind of interesting. We have a handful that are in that spot. Most of our clients, I mean, there might be a couple that might be a little more focused on the investments, but we do at least some planning for all of our clients.
So your husband does some of the investment work, and is any of the money managed by your team, or is it all generally using outside managers and outside structures, platforms, and things like that?
Yeah, so we custody with Charles Schwab, and then we'll use outside funds, and we do some work in environmental social governance investing too. But so he does all the research, just tapping into the other larger institutions for research, or we'll bring our portfolio models out for just to have other looks at it, either from multiple firms, Dimensional, JP Morgan, Vanguard, and so just really tapping into all of the research that's available out there.
Nice. And so do you folks create your own models and then bring the providers in to
Yeah.
fill in the models?
Yeah.
Okay. How many models do you have?
Um, well, we can tweak them a little bit too. So like we'll set our target allocation, like whatever it is, like 60-40, and then we have ability in our investment policy statement to go up or down 5% on that. So, but sometimes people might want like something in between, so they're not a 70-30, or 80-20, they want 75. So we can kind of tweak off of our base models. But so I don't know the exact number on that, because we've done a little bit of adjusting on allowing them to just weight it a little differently.
Well, the way you answer this makes it sound like it's very custom, which I think
It
is
it is. It has that. It has the core of like the investment strategies that we'll put into the asset classes, but then the weighting can be like a little bit different. Or if some clients are just so like concerned about like international, maybe we might underweight that a little bit for them, or maybe they have
sure.
like certain countries that they're trying to avoid.
So we begin this year after 2 decent years in the financial markets. 2020 began bad, but it ended okay.
Mhm.
And then last year was a decent year. So a little bit of stress as we begin the year. What you get calls from clients, and if you have, what are you saying right now?
It's the hold the course message, and it's also to remind them, especially if they're living off their portfolios, that we already had the cash ready, or we had bonds that were still in maturing. We're not buying any new individual bonds, but so it's really reminding them of their cash strategy. But I think it's the training that you do before you get to these markets, and the education. And so honestly, knock on wood here, like they've I'm sure nobody likes what's happening out there, but they seem to be like, yeah, we know we're not going to do anything right now. We stay the course. So they almost like tell us the lesson back.
So you've told them enough that they call you nervous, and then they recite what you told them.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like, okay, I feel so much better now.
That's
Like,
good.
that's good.
Well, we all need advisors, right? That's
Yeah, yeah.
why we do this. That's great. Well, good. So, Kathy, what do you see? And you've been around a little while. I'm not going to
Mhm.
say a long time, okay, but a little while, and you've learned a lot about the industry, and you've had some great experiences. What do you see are the trends developing in the industry now? Where do you think we'll be in, let's say, 10 years? Will it be more financial planning, more systems, more products, Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Any trends you want to talk
Um,
about?
I definitely see more financial planning. I think that people want, because there's so many ways to get investments, that they have trouble with is connecting all of the financial planning pieces. So that piece, I think that people are going to demand more of that and understand like that needs to be part of their relationship. Because I think like a lot of people say, oh, we do financial planning, and maybe they enter a couple numbers and they spit out a plan, but it's not really like integrated into all areas, from like the structure that they might want to create in their estate plan for their kids, or making sure that their tax strategy is aligned. And so that piece I definitely see more of, and consumers becoming more, asking for more of that. I think in like that values connection and understanding like the family and how to have these conversations. I see a lot of people coming and asking for that in our firm. And I just think there's a lot of ways to create, like, I think I know there's a lot of like acquisitions and stuff. I can see like for us, like maybe some other acquisitions, because there's still a lot of independent practices that don't necessarily have a succession plan. So I see some type of like consolidation, whether it's with bigger firms or acquiring those, or even smaller firms finding ways like we did this acquisition. So I see that happening too.
Are you interested in making more acquisitions once this was done, or not, or in the middle of it?
Um, once this is done, I would consider it. I want to build out our infrastructure a little bit more to have like more dedicated internal running the business. But as we continue to grow, we can take one more hat off, and that's just the challenge of a newer firm that's growing, and you have to wear multiple hats for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Well, great. So tell me, or actually tell our listeners, if you had basically one message you'd like to tell the financial advisor world, because all of our colleagues are going to see this, probably a
Mhm.
couple thousand people are going to see this around the country, and it's going to be distributed worldwide. So if you had a couple minutes to send a message to the financial advisors of the industry,
Mhm.
what would you tell them?
Um, I would say don't be afraid of the sometimes difficult conversations with clients. Like
Mhm.
when you see something that you sense something's there, dive into it and just listen, because you will really create a good experience for that individual, and they will see that there's so much more than just that investment report that might be in front of you right now.
So embrace the hard meeting. Make
Hmm.
sure you do the hard work for clients, and
Yeah.
it'll all work out, and the relationship will be stronger, right?
Yeah, and just listen. Sometimes people just want to talk, so just spend more time listening than talking.
Yeah, people do like to talk more than listen. And probably that's the opposite of what we should do.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Well, great. Well, I think maybe we'll leave it there, Kathy. It's really been a pleasure to have you here on the Financial Advisors Workshop, which is a four-star production. So thanks for being with us, and maybe we can check in with you, next 6 months down the road or next year, see how things are going with that acquisition, and see what else is on tap for Flourish Financial.
Yeah, thank you.
All
Good
right.
to be here.
Thanks for being with us, and we'll leave it there, everybody.